Selling is providing someone with a product or service that satisfies their need. It all began in the production era where demand exceeded supply. Then came into the sales era where there was the crash of the market in 1929. Competition between manufacturers increased significantly, and in this time you'd convince customers they have a need. Then we went into the marketing era. During the late 1950s and 1960s, the emphasis shifted to satisfying customer needs. Sales became more complicated. In these exchanges, there was always a winner and a loser. And then we came to the partnering era, starting in early 1990s. The emphasis shifted to benefits of cooperation. It was no longer an adversarial relationship. And then we went into personally selling, which is the stage we currently are in now. This was the personal communication of information unselfishly persuade someone to buy something. By buying something, it is a good, service, idea, or something else that satisfies the individual's needs. Some of the types of jobs when you go into sales, there's retail selling, which is selling goods or services to customers for personal use. We have direct selling, which is face-to-face sales to customers who use the products for their personal use. And then we have selling for the wholesaler, for resale, producing other goods, its use within an organization, selling. And then we have selling for a manufacturer, which is working for a firm who manufactures the product, usually one of the most prestigious jobs. So with personal selling comes the golden rule, which is unselfishly treating the others the way you would like to be treated with nothing in return. Some of the benefits for sales is you got to determine your own hours, make money through commission, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money, and it's very broad, so there's many industries and paths that you can take. So as we go into question 2, Daniel Pink argues that everyone is a salesperson. Pink says, when you spend your time persuading, influencing, and convincing others, that's sales. We do this all the time, whether it's trying to convince your friends where to go out to eat or convincing your parents to buy you that new toy. Pink found through a survey that people spend 40% of their time at work selling, regardless of their profession. Across a range of professions, we are devoting roughly 24 minutes of every hour to moving others, Pink writes. Selling in all its dimensions, whether pushing Buicks on a car lot or pitching ideas in a meeting, has changed more in the last 10 years than it did over the previous 100. He contends most of what we understood about selling is constructed atop a foundation of assumptions that has crumbled. Technology has merely provided a platform for people to communicate more, which inevitably has increased the amount of sales. So as we go into question number 3, low value and major sales are completely different processes. If you use the same tactics for both, you will inevitably fail and lose the sale. The buyer goes through different processes when they buy a candy bar compared to a car. Larger sales develop slower, and customer needs develop in a different way. In small purchases, the purchase is exclusively the buyer's decision and most likely won't consult with anyone. They are more emotional and spur-of-the-moment decisions. As sales become larger, needs take longer to develop. They involve multiple people and require rational justification. There is also more serious consequences for a bad purchase. In smaller sales, the more implied needs you uncover, the more successful the sale will be. However, for larger sales, implied needs don't matter, but what you do with them does. As sales grow larger, the more explicit needs you develop, the more successful the sale. The purpose of questions in larger sales is to uncover implied needs and develop them into explicit needs. Describing the features of a product is positive in small sales but is neutral in larger sales and can be negative if used too early. Type A benefits advantages are more successful in smaller sales, while Type B benefits are more successful in larger sales. So, as we go into question 4, we will describe the spin strategy, which involves 4 steps. The first step is situation questions. This stage is to collect facts and data about the customer's existing position. Inexperienced salespeople ask more situation questions, which makes the buyer bored and impatient. Situation questions should be carefully thought out and used strategically so that you don't ask too many. You should have multiple routes you can take based on the customer's answers to these questions. This stage is based on collecting information from the customer without boring them so that you can ask the problem questions based on their information to uncover implied needs. The second stage is problem questions. These questions probe for problems or dissatisfactions the customer may have. These questions are more strongly linked to sales success than situation questions. In smaller sales, the more problem questions asked, the more successful. However, for larger sales, nothing links the two. The purpose of problem questions is to uncover implied needs so that you can develop them into explicit needs. The third stage is implication questions. This stage translates the problem that was discovered from the customer in the previous stage into how it's affecting the customer. This stage provides explicit needs and is very important for the success of larger sales. However, it is not as important for smaller sales. The last stage is need payoff. In this stage, you describe how the product will benefit the customer and how it will save them money. This stage is important because it's your closing and will determine whether the customer will buy your product or service or not. So for our last question, I'm going to sell you a paperclip using the FAB trial close technique. Hi, how are you today? I have a new product on display today, which is this paperclip. It clips all your papers together without having to staple them. This will help you stay organized with your papers and never lose one again. You'll never have to worry about losing the page of your homework or misplacing the first page of your speech for your business meeting. Can I interest you in this paperclip?